Android and iPhone users welcome. BlackBerry and Windows Phone users, these phones don't even support podcasting, bro. The podcast going beyond the headlines. This is the GooplyCast. Here's your host, Matthew Carter.
Greetings from Apple Park, California.
Greetings from Mike.
I think they should just call it Apple Park now, because if you've never been to Cupertino, California, like Apple is like the only thing that's there. And now that Apple Park is built and finished, they should just call it Apple Park.
The whole city is now Apple Park.
Yeah, I think so.
They should just buy California.
Well,
Are you
that would
taking
be
my picture, sir?
that would be a lot of
Selling it as an NFT.
yeah.
I know
All
you'd be
right.
famous
Hello,
one day.
everybody, and welcome to the GooplyCast. Matt Carter is off tonight. So joining me tonight is... Tim's up in the top corner now. Okay.
No,
so
it's just
Tim.
reflected.
I was about to say Roy, but Tim's in the top today. Tim, Chef Tim. Are we going to get a new episode of Cooking with Tim, by the way?
Don't ask me. I don't have any answer to that.
I know where you could get a really good webcam.
Yeah.
No.
Better than his GoPro that he's using now. Also joining me tonight is Roy. Good evening, Roy. Wrong time, no see.
I feel it's been like what? I feel like it's been like 6 hours or something.
I know you were just here in Apple Park with me, and then
I'm a little jet lagged.
You took your express Tim Cook jet home.
You are welcome
What?
for those WWDC tickets, by the way. Tim hooked me up.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tim. I thought you were talking about me. I'm like, what? Cooking with Tim Express
The
jet?
important Tim.
I'm like, when did
Yeah.
Cooking with Tim get an express jet?
Well, you're sharing the jet with Ice by Air. You fly around on a
Yeah.
drone.
Yeah. And directing the show tonight is Joseph. What's up, Joseph?
Yo, how's it going, gamers?
Good. How are you?
You know, no complaints.
All right. So Apple had somewhat of an announcement today. I guess you could
Did
call
they?
it.
It was pretty small.
I mean, I will agree with Tim. It was really small. Like
it was like a
I-
PowerPoint
thi-
presentation in the back room
Yeah,
of a convention
this is
center.
this is the most disappointing release of iOS, iPadOS, watchOS, macOS that I am. Like I don't like to collaborate with people in Apple keynotes and stuff, like, and I felt like that's kind of all it was, like, so anyway, so we'll talk about everything, but let's get right into it. Let's start with iOS 16, which was announced today.
Are we going to go in the same order they went in for the keynote?
I don't know. No, we'll just go our own order. So let's start off with iOS 15.
Kind of
Or
surprised
iOS
surprised about
16.
the name. The name kind of took me by by surprise. Was
iOS
really
16.
Yeah, I was really expecting it. After 15, I wasn't sure what to expect.
I mean, we did go from the 7 to the 10 iPhone, so
Yeah, they skipped one.
Oh no,
there.
that's right. We did have 8. We did have 8.
We did have 8. Yeah, they skipped 9. Well, 9 was like technically. Wasn't there another phone that wasn't the SE released? Kind of like the 9
SE
version.
was released after the 8. So
Yeah, after
yes.
the 8. So that was kind of the 9. That was. I feel like that was kind of the 9.
No, it came the
because
SE
it was
came
released
out
in
with
2020.
No, the SE came out in 2016. It came out with the
No, the second
with the
version,
sticks.
and then there's a third
Oh,
version. There's a
I
third
think the
version
second
already.
version came out after the 10.
Yeah.
I was positive.
Yeah, it did. So, but yeah, so I kind of consider that the 9. But anyways, they call it the SE. So, anyways, iOS 16. As I said at the beginning, I was rather disappointed. Roy and I watched the event together, and I think it's safe to say that both of us were not very impressed. They kicked off the main headline that the lock screen has been redesigned and you can add widgets to the lock screen. And that was, I mean, that was their big feature in iOS. I
Yo,
think.
always on.
Not
No,
always
so
on, but
I'm calling it
Roy
now.
called it. Yeah, go ahead, Roy.
With a redesigned lock screen is almost certainly means that we are going to get an always on display with iOS 14. I'm calling, or not iOS 14, iPhone 14. I'm calling it now. iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max will almost certainly get an always on display. I'm like,
Well, I think it'll be all.
99.9%
I
sure.
think it'll be all the phones that are coming out from now on. I think we'll have the always on display if they do it. I don't think they'll limit that feature to a Pro device at least. But who knows? I might be wrong. But anyway, so they kicked off the announcement by telling us they redesigned the lock screen like completely. Like the way you interface with the lock screen, it integrates now with focus mode, so you can create different lock screens, but depending on the time of day, which I actually thought was really cool because I don't use focus mode very much right now, but I'm hopefully going to use it in the future. I'm trying to set up different rules and different things and stuff like that. But I'm still afraid of missing like notifications and stuff like that that I really want to see. So yeah, it'll integrate with focus mode. They created widgets, so you can create widgets for like weather, calendar, battery, fitness, all on your lock screen, which is kind of nice because I will probably create like a custom lock screen for when I go to bed, so that I can see my activity rings before the final end of the day, so that I make sure that I closed my rings, because I'm trying to get back to where I close all my rings again. But yeah, and then what else did they announce? So you can now like if you've ever used watchOS, they have like a photo screen or whatever, and if you take a photo in portrait mode, you can now like add it to the screen. You can move it around. You can put the font behind the top of the pictures, those type of things. It's really like, I mean, that honestly I feel like was the biggest announcement and the biggest change in iPhone we've seen in many years, I will say.
So I upgraded to iOS 16, the developer preview. So I've
If
been
you
running
saw
it all
my
day.
tweet, if you saw my tweet, I still haven't updated yet, but I was
Um,
thinking about it earlier.
to expound upon what Matt said, to explain a little bit more. I don't know how well you can see this, not very
You
well.
can't really see it.
You can only have, when you're using a portrait type photo, you can only have the clock partially hidden by the portrait screen as long as you haven't added any widgets. If you add any widgets, it brings everything to the foreground, which kind of sucks, but whatever. It is what it is. It lets you customize it a couple different ways. So right above the clock where you have the time, you can add things up there. So like I have the weather and weather conditions. So right now it says Monday 6 Monday 6 because it's June 6th. Sunny, 60 degrees. So I got the weather right there. You can change the fonts of the clock. You can also change the color. I completely forgot I could change the color. That is so
Oh yeah, I
cool.
did see that. I saw that in a YouTube video today of somebody doing a walkthrough of it, and like you can actually change you can really tone in on the colors,
Yeah.
the top
So I mean,
colors, the granite, everything. Like, I mean,
yeah,
that was really
custom
impressed.
colors,
Yeah.
suggested colors. And then right below it, you have this little widget bar right here. And I know you can't really see in the video. And they have two sizes of widgets on there. They have the small and then the not so small. And you can basically fit 4 small widgets. I don't think you can fit, or 2 large, or sorry, 4 small widgets or 2 large widgets on there. If you want a mixture of it, I'm sorry, you can do yeah, two smalls and large. So you can have a total of basically 4 spaces taken up. A large takes up 2 spaces, and that's it. So right now I have my activity rings and I have my next calendar event on there. You can switch in between your lock screens just as easy as you would on your watch face if you have watchOS. There is not currently a way to delete ones that you've created.
Swipe up.
So
Can you
like,
not swipe up to delete?
no, it does nothing. I've long pressed.
Press and hold on it? No? Wow.
Done that.
It's
Oh, wait,
got to
no,
be a bug.
There it is.
Oh,
No, there it is. It worked. You have to
it's probably bugged. It was probably
you have to
bugged.
long press a little bit longer than you normally would. So that's probably a bug.
Why did you
Yeah.
delete the one of your wife?
I didn't. It's still there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought that was the one you deleted.
This is the main one that I use.
Okay.
Yeah. So
But they
it's
have
also
the
got
cool
it's also got
transitions.
swipe up. It's also got swipe up animation. Yeah, which I thought was really cool because when you transition from a stock wallpaper, it looks so smooth and everything and stuff like that.
Your notifications also scroll up from the bottom now.
Bottom,
And when there's
That's
yeah.
nice.
it's I've cleared the notifications, but when you get a new notification, it only shows like 1.5, and they're all down here at the bottom, so your lock screen can be shown, and that's kind of cool. You know, they're letting you give the option of having this beautiful lock screen that you can show off.
So they also introduced a live. It's like a live tile. I want to say it's a live. I don't remember what they called it, but it's a live. It's basically like a
For the-
live widget
You're
for
talking
like
about for the
sporting
weather?
events. Yeah,
Oh,
for like
yeah.
for sporting events and stuff like that. And they also I wouldn't really use it for sporting events unless I was at a Mariners game, which I go like once a year. But I would I would definitely use it if they do implement the Uber feature, so you can see how far your Uber ride is away. I hope that Lyft would use that too because I use Lyft more than I use Uber. But if Lyft is or Uber is the only one that has it and takes advantage of it, then I will probably switch to Uber because I can see that happening. Like I don't have to sit there and watch the little diagram watching the driver turn around 6 billion times to try and get to me. Like I literally had the worst Lyft driver the other day. Literally was supposed to take he was supposed to be here in like 5 minutes, and basically 15 minutes later he showed up after he called me twice saying he was here and his GPS wasn't working. He had an old iPhone 6, I think, and the screen was all cracked on it. Like, I mean, it was just but anyways, like that's a feature that I would really use on the lock screen, so that I could just sit there because a lot of times I'm just listening to music while I'm waiting, got my AirPods in, stuff like that. You can also use live, listen to music and stuff like that. It's got a little player icon down there at the bottom, kind of like what you have now currently with when you have it, you just kind of have a toggle back and forth and stuff like that. But it looks a little more cooler, has a little built-in features and stuff like that. And I think if you tap it, it opens up. So I'm sure they'll bring it to podcasts and some other things. And I'm definitely thinking that Spotify and other developers out there will take advantage of it. So that's I think that's a pretty good feature. And I think that's it for wallpaper or for the lock screen.
The lock screen.
Yeah. So now here we come into the most impressive, non-impressive features, and I say this because, like,
Hold on.
Well, no, hold
You
on.
forgot-
Hold on. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say there was another set of impressive features that they finally added in before you get into the non-impressive, and that's what they did with messages.
Well,
And
no, I'm
no,
going
they
into
didn't-
messages. No, I'm going into messages. That's what I was talking about.
Did they do
So-
what Twitter couldn't?
So they did create an edit button. They did, but and that's a really cool feature. But like, you think this would be a common thing that you would have available in there? But they showcase this that you can mark a message unread. Like,
I am
you
super
think
against
would've-
that, for the
you
record.
think you are against it?
Super against it.
Why?
Because it could lead to people changing whether or not they read it after they did.
Well,
No,
no, I
no,
don't think
so
it. I don't think it. No.
The-
I
the
don't
Sorry.
think it'll
receipt doesn't
update
get
the.
changed.
Sorry,
The
are we talking about the
read receipt doesn't
update
get
or the red change?
No,
We're talking about the read the mark as
So you
unread.
can mark your messages as unread from your end, not for the other person's end.
Yeah,
The other person will
So-
know that you read it.
yeah.
So,
So for
Oh,
example,
I
if you-
misunderstood. I
if you-
misunderstood.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah,
strictly
yeah.
so that you can know that you need to follow up on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you think this feature would have been back in like iOS 10? Like, I mean, and they showcased this at the keynote event, which just kind of made me feel like it was like yeah, crazy.
You
Like
know,
that they didn't have a lot to announce, and I felt that way right on after messages because there was basically three improvements to messages itself, which was the mark as unread, the edit, and the undo. So basically, you can edit a message for up to like 15 minutes after you sent it, and then you can also un unsend a message. Now, here's the thing. If you have to have iOS 16. If you don't have iOS 16, it will still say that it's there. Or
Not
it'll
only
say that
that, but
it'll say that
crash
it's
your
unread, but
message app.
well, the guy that did it on the guy that did it on the YouTube video that I watched earlier, it didn't crash, but it basically it removed the message from his thread, but the other phone it wasn't removed from, and it was running iOS 15.
Yeah, I tried on sending a message to Matt and it crashed my message app.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's a
So
beta,
there
so it's
there
gonna be
probably
free.
will be it probably will be in the future saying, hey, this person doesn't have iOS 16. This feature is not available.
Oh no, it tells
Yeah.
you. It says this message has been removed, but if the other user is using an older version of iOS, it will not be removed from them, or may not be removed from them. Something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Yeah. So anyway, there's that, and then there's also the edit button, which yes, Twitter couldn't it hasn't done yet. Apple's already done it. Um, and like yeah, it's cool. I don't really see myself editing messages though. Like, I mean, maybe in a group thread or something like that, I might edit a message so I don't look like an idiot when I spell something wrong. But normally, I'm texting in real time, and stuff like that. They've already read it, so by the time I go back and edit it to fix what I say, it might be too late. They've
Yeah,
already
I'm
read it.
super not about the edit button.
Yeah, it's not a big feature to me in messages. So, but
If anything, it's a bad for me.
But this is the thing I was thinking. I was like, okay, they're bringing all these features to iMessage. Now, are we going to see RCS?
I was wondering that
like-
same thing.
I was like, they're improving on messages, but yeah, they had no mention to say about RCS.
When they said
afterwards.
three things that everyone has been requesting, I'm like, one of these are RCS. One of these
I
has to be
know.
RCS because that's what everyone's been asking for.
They gotta be. Yeah. No, I thought the same thing. And I'm like, is it gonna be? Is it gonna be? And then it wasn't. So I
So
was super sad.
here's
the other
why I didn't. There's one reason why I didn't think it was going to be RCS. I mean, I kind of did there for a second, but thinking back on it, the only reason Apple hasn't introduced RCS to iMessage is because it would reduce the reason why people will use iPhones, and we know that a lot of people use iPhones specifically for iMessage. If they give us a year and they're like, look at these cool iMessage only features, and then next year they bring out RCS, then we're going to be even less likely to go to an Android phone if
and that's what I talked about. I think in earlier on, I think in our predictions of what we wanted to see in iOS, but I feel like that Apple should have done it either way because Apple toots, they have their little Apple with the privacy lock, and stuff like that, and they talk about privacy. SMS and MMS is not secure and it's not private. Like, so I feel like if they really want to be the privacy people and they want to be the privacy people, they should have RCS because
but they're business
messages
first and foremost. They're not.
there is
kill their
but
bread and butter.
But I super think that this would have been a huge seller for people as well, and a big win for users and stuff like that. So, but you're right. I mean, they risk losing government contracts if they go RCS. Maybe. I mean, probably not as much as you think they would, but like some places might go for cheaper Android phones if they have RCS, and stuff like that. But like I really think that they have the ability to market to market RC to market it better, iMessage better, to compete better on the features itself. So yeah, so I was kind of disappointed in that. The other thing I was disappointed in too is I really wanted to see it. Like, I mean, I love the fact that you can mark a message unread. Like, because one of the things I do is I'll often read messages and then I'll forget about them because I'm driving or I'm right in the middle of something and I can't mark a message as unread again. So um, I'm really excited about that feature, but I also was kind of hoping that there was going to be an archive, where I could swipe and archive a message itself and put it like in an archive folder or archive box, or something like that. Because that would have been a huge deal for me. Because I don't like to delete messages. I like to keep things. And I like to keep threads open so that way it's easier to go back and find things. But yeah, I think they missed the mark on that one. Any last thoughts on messages?
RCS is coming iOS 17. Calling it right now.
You want to take a bet on it?
I think
I
they're
do
gonna
not.
I think they're gonna beef up iMessage, and then I think RCS is maybe a few years down the line, but I think they're just gonna keep adding features to iMessage to be like, hey, we have all these other cool things. There's no reason for you to switch to Android.
Yeah. Okay, so they announced messages. And then let's talk about the big news that might get Mr. Carter to switch over. Which is
The wallet updates.
the wallet updates. So they are introducing Apple Pay Later. Is that what they're calling it?
Yes.
Apple Pay Later? Yeah. So basically it's like Afterpay or those other applications where you can, buy things and you can split the payments into three. I use Afterpay. It's integrated with the wallet app too, which I really like. So I basically went to Best Buy, or not Best Buy, not Bed Beyond. It was excuse me, the Container Store. Went to the Container Store, split the payment into 4 payments. Was really easy. Was able to use it with Apple Pay, and yeah, basically super easy. So I'm excited for that too. We'll be interested to see how it works out and stuff like that. But yeah, essentially you'll switch it. The rumor is that Goldman Sachs is going to have the whole bill for it, and then they're going to split it up into payments for you.
So, like, one of the things that's interesting to me about this is I just recently our apartment switched payment systems and everything recently, and our new payment system now allows me to use Apple Pay to pay for our rent. And when this was announced today, I was curious to see if this would work with paying rent, because at our complex there is a rent payment program, I believe is what it is. It's like where you spend, I think it's like $30, and you can split your rent into 2 payments, like once every 2 weeks. I've never done it before, but several of my neighbors have used it, and it seems to work kind of terribly because you have to deal with like 4 different financial places to get it to work, and it gets sent over like a cashier's. It sounds like a nightmare and terrible, but I'm curious if this would get more people to switch just for this feature and to be able to split rent.
I honestly don't think you will be able to split your rent payment. I think that it'll be limited to some retailers in some places, or it'll be certain merchants, because there's certain places that I can't use my Apple Card at too. Apple restricts where I can use my Apple Cash Card online. I tried to buy some wallpapers the other day, and like they didn't accept the Apple wall or Apple Cash Card wasn't available tender. So I'm sure there'll be some
They
restrictions
made it
on
sound like any Apple Pay, any type of Apple Pay.
Maybe, but I don't know that everything will be available. I still think that there'll be some restrictions in some way, to what you can do and how much money you can do it, for and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they do it, but again, yeah, and it'll probably be dependent on your credit too, basically.
Right.
Like, um, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think it would be a cool idea to split rent into payments. I mean, we just have all of ours come out at once at the beginning of the month,
Same.
but I could see the benefits to it for some people, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I'd rather just get it out of the way at the beginning of the month and get it
Yeah.
over with.
I've got other bills I gotta pay.
Yeah, like yeah. So anyways, but we'll see. I mean, I'm definitely excited for the feature because I use Afterpay a lot. And it works on a lot of my retailers that I use it for. There's a couple other ones. I can't remember what the other ones are, but there are two other ones out there. I've used another one with Amazon. Um,
Affirm is
Affirm,
one.
yeah, Affirm I used with Amazon. That's right. So I bought something with it on Amazon.
You know
Um,
what I really want to do is when this is available, I want to go and finance a pretzel over 4 weeks.
okay,
Finance the
so
pretzel.
I'll tell you that it has to be over a certain dollar amount.
Oh, okay. So can
So
I finance an $8 pretzel?
He didn't specify how big the pretzel would be. Just saying.
Oh, true.
I guess that's true. You could buy $150 worth of pretzels.
I'm going to
but
Taco Bell
normally,
and finance.
like for Afterpay, it has to be $30 or $40 or more, or something like that. $35, I think, or more. So I mean, you'd have to buy $35 in pretzels, but you could probably
That's
do it.
easy. You can do it on a week. Eat it all on a weekend. That
That's
sounds
a
good
lot
to
of
me.
bread.
Yeah, and then Mr. Carter's not here tonight, but he said in the Discord chat with us earlier that was a feature that he was really looking forward to, and he would definitely switch for it. So, um, we may all become Rainbow,
Ugh, got the
and
chills.
we might have to rename the podcast.
Just
The
Apple.
podcast.
Apple
Apple
Cast.
Talk. Apple Talk or
We
Apple.
talk
Yeah.
about other stuff.
The aptly cast.
But we'll all be part of the Apple cult because we'll all be on Apple.
It'd be easier to get Tim Cook to come on to an episode, or Craig.
Yeah.
He was saying that Mr. Carter was the only reason he won't come on our show
Oh yeah. Okay.
because he's an Android user.
So let's just skip to this part because I don't want to forget to talk about it. But did everybody see the Craig run?
Oh, that's
the
going to be
little-
a meme for days to come.
Oh my god, that was hilarious! Like when he was running from one end of Apple Park to the other end and did it in slow motion, and then slowly did the grab of the hair. Like that was just, I thought that was amazing. That was like when he, honestly, that was better than when he opened up the MacBook. But when he opened up the MacBook, I think that was probably the second biggest meme that we've seen is when he opened up the MacBook in the engineering lab. So yeah, so I'm excited to see the memes that come off of it, and I'm really excited that Apple threw some comedy into the keynote itself. So okay, anything else on iOS before we move on to
Yes.
iPad?
There are 3 things that I want to talk about that were not discussed on the
Okay,
keynote
well,
that I've discovered in iOS so far.
Okay,
Make it really quick.
quick.
Number 1, you can now do Face ID from landscape mode. It will unlock. No, you couldn't. Number 2, and Matt's not going to care about this, but Tim, you might care about this. With iOS 16, you can turn on keyboard haptics for when you're typing.
I did see.
Wait,
that,
is that
and
the
I might
bumpy?
actually try that.
Yeah, when it starts vibrating.
Oh, I love that. I'm so glad they brought that in.
Yeah.
And then finally, one of the reasons that I still keep Dark Sky, which is a weather app that Apple bought a couple years ago, the only reason I still keep it on my phone is I can go here and pick a day and I can say, what's the percentage of precipitation probability? And it shows me this graph. In the weather app, you can now click on the day and it shows you this graph. And look at this. What's my precipitation going to look like? Oh, just these little blue bars down here. Barely going to rain. I'm sorry, but that was like the one reason I kept Dark Sky on my phone, and now basically it's integrated into the weather app.
And we all knew that was coming to the weather app, and stuff like that. They released a new weather API as well for Dark Sky, basically, so that you can. So I mean, we may see a version of Dark Sky come back to Android. It is a pretty pricey API to get access to. I think it was like $999 was the top one. And I think it was like 5 million requests or something like that. Or 5 million calls or whatever. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty pricey API, but I think we could see some pretty impressive weather apps coming to Android using that API. So yeah. And also web apps too. I mean, we could see it built into certain weather applications too as well. So, okay. So, let's move on to iPadOS.
I mean, we don't really need to talk about iPadOS because nothing really talked about for iPadOS that you can't do on anything else.
No, there wasn't, but I just think that we should touch on it real quick. So, I mean, it was a lot of collaboration features, which I have an iPad. There was something that was really cool. I can't remember what it was though, but it was for the iPad Pro. And I can't even remember what it was now. But there was something that I was super excited about, and now it's not there. I can't remember what it was.
Didn't it have something to do with like the display for?
You could. Yeah. So you could make your display smaller so you can have more content on the screen, and that's what I was really looking forward to. But I don't know that it's going to be available on the iPad Air. I may download the beta at some point on my iPad because I don't necessarily use my iPad in my day-to-day rotation just because I have too many screens here that if I had another one, I don't know that I'd be able to control everything. But that is something that I would like to see come to the iPad Air, especially because I have a smaller screen on there and I can make the content a little bigger and have a little more room to, stuff like that. Because I use my iPad and I put it right up to my screen, so it's basically, I mean, you can't see it now but yeah. So anyway, I would be super excited to see that on iPadOS. There was a lot of collaboration tools and stuff like that where you can collaborate live with your team members. But again, all this stuff has to use with Keynote, and I just don't think a lot of businesses use Keynote. And
you mean
not Keynote, Pages and Pages, yeah, Pages, Keynote, and the other apps that they use. Like
Numbers.
It's just Numbers. Yeah, it's just not a very popular app. Like if it worked with, say Word, Microsoft Office, yeah, I probably would. But like, I have Keynote, I have Pages, I have Numbers. But I just don't see the point of using it. I mean, I don't use a lot of them anyways, but yeah, it just, yeah, I mean, I guess I could see for some people using it, you can collaborate live with each other, that type of thing, but you could share, I did think it was kind of cool that you could share your web tabs with other people. Whoa. Oh shit.
You good?
My chair just broke, I think.
Uh-oh.
My chair just broke.
Did you update it? Is it running iOS 16?
Hopefully it wasn't a sponsored chair.
Patch?
It was actually.
Yikes. Might have to revise that review.
Oh no.
Well, there goes out.
So other than the collaboration stuff, there really wasn't anything that was announced for iPadOS. There was nothing that was really announced that was exclusive to iPadOS. Most of it was like, all this is going to be available on everything else.
It looks like macOS. iPadOS just looks more like macOS every single year.
Well, I think that's kind of the point of what they're getting at. They want it to be seen as something that could be used for productivity like a laptop without being a laptop.
Do you think one
Yeah.
year they're gonna combine them together and be like, it's one system? And
No, they worked hard enough
I don't.
to differentiate it from iOS for a reason. They wanted to
Yeah.
go in a certain direction.
Yeah. I'm like holding myself up, so if I all of a sudden fall backwards.
Should we move to Ventura?
Yeah, let's move to no, actually let's do watchOS first. And then we'll move to macOS and we'll finish off there. So
There were a couple neat announcements for watchOS. I wouldn't say they were things that I would necessarily use a whole lot,
Yeah,
but neat announcements.
I think it was kind of cool that like if you don't have a watch, you'll be able to use the activity features and stuff like that. Obviously, you won't be able to do standing and your activity or your
Exercise.
exercise ring, but yeah, it was kind of cool that you'll be able to set activity records and stuff like that. I mean, you could already track your steps and stuff like that in there, but yeah, it is kind of cool that you'll have the fitness app, and stuff like that. I think that will definitely help grow the Apple Watch community and give you a preview of what you could do, and stuff like that. I don't think you'll be able to do competitions with other people though, because you won't have access to the other two rings. So that wouldn't really be a fair thing. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't introduce any updates to challenges and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was kind of disappointed in that.
Biggest letdown of watchOS.
I know it was, yeah. So I felt like there was a lot of room for improvements with watchOS. Obviously, we didn't get third-party watch screens. I think it's just a privacy issue, basically, that they're probably working with, is my guess. But yeah. So I'm trying to think what else.
You can now track your medications.
Oh yeah,
through
yeah,
the
yeah.
health
That
app
was
on
actually
your
a really
watch,
cool feature, and
which
you can do that.
I'm
You can do
excited
that on your
for.
iPhone too now. If you don't have your watch, you can do it on your iPhone. But yes, definitely, and you can share. The other thing I thought was a really cool feature too is you can share your medication list and your health records with another family member. So, for example, I could share mine with my wife. My wife could share me with hers. I'd have access to all her medical lists because obviously, if something happens, and stuff like that, the first thing they're gonna ask you is what medications is she on. I mean, if I had to answer that for my wife, I wouldn't know. Like, I honestly wouldn't. So I think this is definitely a benefit feature, and stuff like that. And then my wife always has a timer that goes off to take her medications. So the fact that she can just have a thing pop up on her watch that says, "Hey, it's time to take your, midday medication," and then you tap log that you logged it, you took it, and then you did it. That would be a good feature. So yeah, I definitely think lots of good improvements there. So anything else that I missed?
Yes. There were a couple things. Not so important, but notifications are now going to be banner
Oh yeah,
notifications
yeah,
on
yeah.
your watch versus taking up the entire screen. Which I mean, if you're using your watch continuously, that's kind of cool. But I don't think 9 times out of 10 it's going to matter to me. I'm usually not using my watch when I get a notification. If I am, then fantastic. One of the things, the only other thing that I was super excited about was when you're doing certain workouts, because they're only rolling out to certain ones, it'll tell you what heart rate zone you're in so that you
Oh
can,
yeah, yeah,
whether or
yeah.
not you want to work harder or you want to, be in your, what's the word, cool down or not cool down,
Ramp up mode.
ramp up, ramp down. What's it called when you're like you do a fast sprint and then
Resting
you like
mode. Yeah.
you do like a
It's
kind
like
of a
it's like your
slow
middle
run and then you
road. I
go
know what you're
back up.
talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Yeah.
But they're
It's
going to
like your
give you these
middle
different
road.
zones for your
Yeah.
workouts. They're going to do it for running and a couple other ones right off the bat. I would like to see it, obviously widen what they'll do it on. But I thought that was a really cool feature for workouts. I think that was probably the only other watch OS feature that I thought was cool.
Yeah, definitely. Update. I fixed my chair, so I'm not going to fall backwards.
yay.
So, I think I accidentally bumped the little thing, is why it went backwards. So anyways, okay, so that was watchOS. Now let's move on to macOS. Uh, Again, not super impressed with the changes. What about you, Roy? You are another Mac user, and Tim as
Um,
well.
no, there was nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there's so much that's already great about macOS to begin with. Nothing really got announced that was super interesting. There was some FaceTime stuff that got introduced where you could basically hand off your FaceTime calls with other devices, and that was kind of neat. I don't really use FaceTime a whole lot, not enough that I've never felt the need to hand off a FaceTime call. You can now use continuity, which means you can now use your iPhone as a webcam for your MacBook, which was probably the
Yeah, I
coolest
think that was probably
announcement.
the biggest feature there, and that's, I mean, honestly, I think that should have been here last year because or a lot of people are going back to work now, so a lot of people aren't working at home. But that would have been a super good feature. But I could see this also being very useful for people who are using are streaming live on the internet. So Twitch, those type of things, and stuff like that. Local podcaster here. I guess he's not a podcaster anymore, but he mostly streams on Twitch. Chris Perillo. He's a Washington, Seattle native, but he does a lot of 3D printing, and basically he has a software. I don't remember what the software is called, but he mentioned it in one of his streams, and he basically uses two iPhones or two phones itself, an Android and an iPhone, to basically stream. And he has one mounted on his 3D printer, and then the other one is pointed at him. So he uses it already. So this is something that's already out there. Mac OS is just, and Apple is bringing it into Mac OS itself, allowing you to use it directly in there. And I will say it is pretty nice that it just automatically connects and knows that you're using your webcam or your iPhone is your webcam when you snap it to your top of your thing. Belkin is creating some third-party accessories that you'll be able to buy for it, so that it'll snap on there and everything. We'll see how it works,
I'm excited to
but
see how the tabletop view works with it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
definitely.
oh the center stage, I think is what they no not center stage.
Center stage, yeah,
The no, I'm talking
center
about
stage.
the center stage is for the camera. I'm talking about the app switcher, multitasker. I can't remember what
Oh,
they called it.
what did they call it? Hold on, I have it here. Uh, well, obviously it's not a big thing because 9 to 5 Mac didn't talk about it.
Basically, it allows you to have one application open in the
Stage
middle of your
manager.
screen. Stage
Stage
manager.
manager.
You have
Yeah.
one application on the middle of your screen, then you have everything else kind of down in little mini windows down the side, and you can group them together if you're working on a project that requires multiple windows. And to me, this is completely useless. I have multiple monitors. I usually have multiple apps open, but I only have the apps open that I need at any given time. Here. And if I was using one screen, like if I was just taking my laptop on a trip, I think that Stage Manager could be very helpful for keeping
Yeah,
my
definitely
productivity more
agree with that.
organized.
Yeah.
But for those that are working at home that have a multiple monitor experience, which I feel like a lot of the people who are using Mac on a professional level are using multiple monitors, and Stage Manager is probably not going to be super useful to them. This is going to be for your single monitor users.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, yeah, I think over time, I may use this, but right now probably not. But if I do get to going to traveling again a lot more, then I could see that being useful in like an airport or on a plane or something like that when
Yeah,
I'm traveling. So, yeah.
they
So,
updated your
anyways,
mail app.
they did. I was just going to mention that too. They updated Mail, and I've always been a fan of the Apple Mail app, but it's very limited at what you can do with it. You know, I was really excited when they brought up the Mail logo and talking about Mail. I'm like, yes, we're gonna get a redesigned Mail app that's gonna look like amazing. And I was like, they introduced three new features, which was unsend, um, send later, and schedule a send.
All
Like I
things
was
that should
just
have already been there.
all things that already should have been in there. They're already in like Gmail and all these other apps and stuff like that. Um, but I was super super disappointed in the fact that they only launched those three things. I will give you a shout out to a mail app that I've been doing. It's called Mindstream, I think it's called. I don't know. I don't have it on here yet. But I don't have it on here because they only have a Mac app. But they're built in for basically the Gmail application, and they use the Gmail protocol and everything and stuff like that to sync your mail and everything. They use labels and all that, but it's actually developed by the same person who originally built the mail app for Apple, and it looks very much similar to it, but it has a lot of these features that are already out there. The only downfall is that they don't have an Android app, or not an Android, an iOS app or iPadOS app yet. So it is in the works, and they do have it planned, but they're right now focusing on it. It is free right now too, so you could go try it. But it is
What was it called
very
again?
much. I think it's called Mindstream, Mime stream. Um, Stream.com, I think it is. Yep. It's a native macOS client for Gmail. And they do plan on releasing some other features for like IMAP protocols. And the new one that's out there, I can't remember what the new one is called. Um, but there's a new mail app that they're or a new mail protocol. It's called now I can't even find it. But there's a new protocol that they're developing for mail, and it's supposed to become the eventually, hopefully, going to become the standard because IMAP and POP and all that is really old. Um, so yeah, it would be interested to see that happen. Um, but I can't even find it on here anymore. So, anyways, I was really excited to see that, and yeah, it wasn't there. So, the features that I've launched with it though, um, templates are really popular. So in mail apps, having a little template block, um, uh, and I think that's in the Mindstream app. So yeah, you should check it out though if you haven't. They have a lot of good features and they're doing a lot of good updates and putting a lot of money into it right now. So um, yeah, I definitely will be excited to see. And it works on Apple Silicon too. So
Speaking of Apple Silicon,
yeah, so we have to talk about M2 in the next 10 minutes. So basically Apple has announced the M2 chip, and Tim, you could go ahead and bring up your notch that you're going to do.
Oh yeah.
Just
Fun.
let's get it out of the way now.
I'm
However,
I'm so happy they added that notch.
yes, I that notch is just it's so beautiful on that MacBook Air. I just want to say it is an
But the
amazing.
MacBook Pro 13-inch M2
Still
does
doesn't
not
have a
have the
Mac.
notch.
It still doesn't have a notch.
Good. Keep it that way.
Yeah, so they announced the M1 MacBook Air, or excuse me, the M2 MacBook Air, which I thought was really cool because it's really completely redesigned. It comes in new colors: space gray, silver, blue, and gold.
Starlight. The
Starlight,
Starlight and
Starlight,
gold.
Starlight and gold. Yeah. So like I thought that was really like impressive colors and stuff like that. I like the blue one, obviously. But again, I probably wouldn't use a MacBook Air just because it doesn't have the power and the performance. But it does integrate MagSafe into it, which is really cool. So you get MagSafe, and then you get the notch, which you get center stage and some of the better camera features into it. You get a better full screen, almost goes all the way to the bezel. Yeah, just a pretty impressive MacBook Air. And then they also announced a redesigned older version. It's kind of like the older version of the MacBook 13-inch model. But again, it doesn't have a notch. So, um, and it's powered by the M2. So I'm really excited to see the performance of these and how it works out. And I think it'll be obviously great for students and stuff like that that are using the MacBook and the MacBook Air. So
Your MacBook Pro is 2016, you said?
yeah,
It does not support Ventura.
are you serious?
2017 and later. I'm looking at 9 to 5 Mac right now.
Let me look at Apple because
They really
let me look
jumped
at it
that
though.
up.
Let's see what it is.
Okay, MacBook Air
Uh,
is 2018 or later, so I probably got like one, maybe one more year of support on this MacBook.
so no, you'll have probably 2 more years, but MacBook, yeah, 15-inch 2016. So, well, that's sad. I'm
Get
sad
it on
that
my 2012 Mac Mini.
yeah.
Don't
I mean,
worry,
of course.
the your Mac Studio that you're going to replace your MacBook Pro with will support it.
Of course it will. No, I'm actually looking at the MacBook 14-inch. Um, yeah, the Max version though, because I want to be able to support multi-monitors. So I'm actually what I'm thinking about doing with this too is getting a MacBook Pro 14-inch and then getting rid of my Mac Mini and my MacBook and going one single device. So yeah,
If you need
it's
to
gonna
sell your Mac Mini to anyone, let us know.
I will. I
You
will.
gonna Are you gonna go to using a Mac more exclusively?
I may be in the market for a M1 Mac Mini.
I don't think you're. I don't think. I don't export. I don't support Apple Pay Later though. Just so you know.
You ruin
Oh,
everything.
I forgot. So there's a couple extra things that I forgot. So one is they're making search more of a focus um, on the iPad or iPhone, and so at the bottom of your swipe thing, you have a dedicated button for search,
It's
which I
right
thought
here.
yeah. So normally where you see your little
That's-
dots for your pages of your home screen, you'll now have basically a search button. I thought that was kind of really cool. Not that I mean I just swipe down and basically get the search, so it doesn't really matter to me, but I just thought it was kind of cool that they added that. And then also they offered so with Apple Pay too, they are offering the ability to basically tap with small merchants. So for example, if they have a Square, I get my haircut. The lady um, that I have get my haircut from has a iPhone, but she uses the um, the little reader, or whatever that connects to it and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Now I'll be able to just tap her iPhone and pay her, and boom, it's done. So it works with Square and a couple other merchants that they announced as well. And then there was a big upgrade to CarPlay as well. So you can now use full in-dash things screens to basically show your navigation and everything and stuff like that. Roy and I talked about it, and we thought it was going to be like, oh, you could basically, play YouTube or whatever in the back screens of the minivans and stuff like that. But I didn't see any announcements for that. So, but yeah, you'll be able to basically use all the screens in there. It's going to be on select vehicles. Jeep wasn't one of them, but we do end up getting a second car. I might look into making sure that it has the ability to use that. So, yeah. So that was basically everything that was announced in a minute. Final thoughts, Tim.
Overall, I thought it was a pretty good presentation. There was nothing groundbreaking, but I thought it was a pretty good. I was pleasantly happy with what all the announcements. I guess this is my first ever WWDC as an Apple user, so I was pretty amped up
Oh, yeah.
for iOS 16, and I think that lock screen. After it was funny. Right after it was announced, I was like, wow, I really hated the old lock screen, and because I
Yeah.
actually really like the new lock screen. So I thought it was a pretty good presentation. Could have been better, but pretty good.
Good. Roy.
I mean, I guess I was hoping for a little bit more. It's not that I thought that the presentation was super disappointing. I mean, yeah, they announced a lot of stuff that I could care less about, like a lot of the collaboration stuff. I don't care about because I don't have a use for it, personally, at least at this point in my life. Um, However, all of Apple's operating systems are fairly well polished to begin with. So it's not like,
Mm.
you know, things are going to be super groundbreaking without them, redesigning it from the ground up. I would have loved for some sort of graphical redesign of iOS, newer icons that maybe match the ones that were introduced into Big Sur or something like that. I would have, I only got like one thing crossed off my wish list, and that was a redesigned lock screen. But there were some small neat things that got introduced and announced that I think are really neat and are just going to help me in the way that I utilize my devices. But like you said, nothing groundbreaking, nothing that's going to be like, man, you should get an iPhone or a Mac because of X, Y, and Z, because there was nothing new enough that got announced, in my opinion.
Got it. Joe, anything you want to add? Are you excited about the lock screen?
Always on
Joseph?
display, please.
Yes, always on display.
I'm glad that Joe and I agree on this always on display thing.
Yeah, we have for like a year at this point, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with all of you guys. I think it wasn't groundbreaking. I'm excited for the lock screen. That's about the only thing I'm excited for. Be interested to see if they add any extra features before we get to the final build. I am not downloading the beta right now, so I'll keep you
Give
updated
him a
on
couple
Twitter
days.
if I give you updated on Twitter. If my urge gets there, but I really want a functioning phone. But I may.
He's gonna wait a couple days to see how buggy it is for me before he does anything.
Yeah.
Also, by the way,
it always starts
other
out
than-
great. It always starts out great, and then it gets buggier from there.
Roy is the
So-
guinea pig.
The only
Yep.
bug I've had so far. Oh, the best announcement: Pokemon Go works on the beta. A couple years it didn't.
I was about to ask. I was just about to
Yes.
ask.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. Pokemon Go works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
tomorrow will be the test for battery life. The only bug I've experienced so far is when it crashed when I tried to unsend a message to Matt, which may or may not have been related. Who knows? I haven't tried to duplicate it, but next week, ask me how it's going next week. Ask me how it's
We
going
will.
next week.
Okay. All right. That's it for this edition of the Gooplicast. Make sure you subscribe and listen to our podcast. For Tim, Matt, Roy, and Joseph, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.